Not having enough money to be able to buy a decent quick car of my own, I thought, well, put some of my engineering skills to trial and see if we could build a car. The first car I built was an urban car. That created a lot of fun, and in the process I met Pat Harlow and Ian, and they were also building a car. So there were other people around as stupid as what I was, so I thought, well, that's a wee bit encouraging. And we got together, and hence that was the start of the car club. This is the Heron. It's one from Ross Baker's stable, and how that came about, and part of what really started my interest in building a car was a man contacted me. He had a grey Heron, the standard MJ1, and the pipes had rotted that went through the centre. Nobody wanted to fix it, and somehow he found me, and I pulled all the pipes out, but I did a little bit of driving around in it and fell in love with it, and that was fatal. The end result was I called into, when I was away on holiday, I called into Ross Baker in Rotorua, who was the founder of them all, and he decided that, yeah, I was interested, and I tried to persuade him to mould another one for me. But when I went back the next time, sitting in the corner was the moulds, not completed. It was just the butt for the moulds, and that was carefully pointed out. I said, well, how much will it cost me to pay you to finish the moulds off? So over a period of 2 or 3 years and persistence, he probably got sick and tired of me coming in to see him, but he was very cooperative, and we finally agreed on the fact that I would pay an amount for the moulds, and I would own the moulds. That's another story in itself, but that was the start of it. What he made for me was a beautiful job of the fiberglassing. It really was. Tim Hutchison travelled with me, and we went up. We took 2 trailers, 2 transporters up to Rotorua, and we came back complete with the moulds and two shell. 1992, that's when we brought all the bits home, and some of them we didn't know where the hell they fitted, and we worked at it and figured it out. But there is something that I need to point out. There is nothing that was made for this car. We had to adapt everything that went in that. I stuck to the Telstar dash, which was what Ross had originally was going to use. I managed to get a gear dash for it. Yep, it's got the usual bits and pieces, stereo systems and things like that, but all in all, every component, all the suspension componentry, all the linkages, all the steering, all the brakes, they were all handmade to fit this car. One of the main things that probably attracted me to the car right from the word go was the fact that most people still don't believe that it is just fiberglass. There is not a steel chassis underneath this vehicle. The whole chassis is glass. It makes it difficult to work on when you're assembling it, because you're climbing in and out. You can't take bits off and build things up from the bottom. In fact, some of the car was built upside down, and that made things easier to get at. But strength-wise, there was concerns. I've driven a lot of cars and raced 1 or 2. This particular vehicle, when you're on the road, it's absolutely solid. The entire strength of the car is just in the shape of it, and these side sills along the bottom of the vehicle, giving you a rough idea, fiberglass to steel, 3 times the thickness, will give you the same strength. So give you a rough idea. This main runners that run right through, it comes all the way from the front. It's all one moulding right through, and that box, it's so big you could just about get your hands around it. It is 12 millimeters thick. And if you like to go and look up the strength charts and bits and pieces, it's quite staggering. Daryl Blewett, my brother-in-law, he was, without him, I would not have succeeded. He provided the fact that he turned up every Sunday. We worked all day on building cars and other things. We got in amongst hydrogen power and splitting water, etc., as you do. But eventually we solved most of the problems. Quite a lot of the car was built upside down. We turned it upside down, sat it on an old mattress, and went over it with a fine tooth comb and designed the suspension as we went. Lots and lots of fun and hilarity, like realising afterwards that when it's upside down, left becomes right. Just minor little technicalities like this, but we survived. We could laugh at ourselves, and Daryl had a very good sense of humour, and his stickability on helping me went a long way. There was a major problem in the side windows. They are curved. I was working at my own business and on the vehicle, and with the side window, that was a major bugbear, and I got it rolled it up, and so I could make everything work. And a young apprentice came over and said to me, "What was it?" I said, "It's a side window from a car." And he looked at me, and I managed to keep a straight face, and I said, "Yeah." I said, I said, "What happens is," I said, "it's coupled up electrically," and I said, "when you push the power on," I said, "it goes transparent," and I left it at that. And he went away and told a lot of people that they had this aluminium went transparent. And I, shall we say, I was roundly abused later. But there was lots of little bits and pieces like that in the build, but to actually get the glass, well, when it came to dealing with Pilkinsons, who did it for me, they didn't want to do it, and I was very disappointed. But then when I came to leave, a guy quietly said, "Hey, I'll talk to you outside." And we did, and he said, "We've got a new process," and this was an adjustable. You had a bed. There was quite a big bed, quite a lot bigger than the side window, and it had little like washers that were adjustable up and down height-wise, and you could form any curve that you wanted in all directions. And they can cut the glass, sit it on it, heat it up, and it sags down into place. And I said, "Yeah, well, how much is that going to cost?" Well, he said, "We're quite intrigued at what you're doing," and he said, "We haven't tried this machine out." The actual to do with this, the side window was in 1995, roughly, when we first started trying to solve the problem, and we had a lot of fun. The biggest single problem was the fact that it was a concept. It had never been put together mechanically. It was designed for a Telstar, and I sort of looked at Telstar, yeah, okay. But I got a little bit more ambitious and thought, well, I can make it go a wee bit quicker, and I'm sure I can get a V6 3 litre in the back. When I looked at this fairly early in the piece, I decided that Telstar, yeah, it would go quite reasonable. But I managed to, I measured it up and looked at it. In those days, the V3000 Mitzi had just come out, and I looked at that and I thought, I think I could fit that in there. So we measured and we measured and we measured, and then I went down to CPA, it was at that stage. I used to get quite a few bits and pieces off them, and told them what I was doing, showed them the photographs, and they said, don't buy a V3000. I said, why not? He said, we will get one for you. And I said, just be patient. So I was patient, and suddenly the phone call went, and I went down there, and sitting on the floor was basically a brand new V3000. What they'd got it out of Japan specifically for me, and it was a test engine. And when I pulled the sump off the V3000, if you haven't been inside a V3000 Mitsumoto, all the main bearing caps are one solid piece. So it's a whole casting and all the rest of it. So it makes the bottom end of the motor a lot stronger. And all inside the motor was white felt pen marks. And I scratched my head at this and said, well, what the hell's been done? And I had a good look at the inside of the motor, and there were not even any polish marks where the rings had been going up and down the bore. It was new. It was new. So that was a very, very good purchase. They looked after me extremely well. I drove it for 12 months, 18 months. It was very good as far as performance and everything went when we got it on the road. I also, at that stage, modified the body slightly. The bottom side rails and bits and pieces, they are not out of Ross's moulds. They are out of, I made them. And then one of the guys in the car club is an aerodynamist. And I said to him, I want a wing across the back. And I said, I want more down pressure on the back, because it's got a ton of power. And he came up with a shape for the back of it. And I might say that it's probably one of the best things that was ever put on it. I soon found out the difference. I did a lot of road testing with it, and one of the stretch of road that I used quite regularly, because it was relatively safe, you could see right down it. Needless to say, you only need a few hundred meters of road to get, shall we say, into three figures. And we were working on this, and that was at the same time I put the supercharger on. And to put the supercharger on, you're leaning over the back of it, and I took the wing off and went for a drive down the road, and put my foot into it, and holy hell, it stepped out on me. Immediately broke traction on the tail. A bit abrupt. And came back home and thought about it, and thought, hang on, put the wing back on, because we've been working on the supercharger, and that's when it dawned on us just how efficient the aerodynamic wing on the back of this Heron is. I think one of the greatest pleasures that I had was I had a caravan at that stage. It was on permanent site in Matamata, and we used to regularly go past and talk to Ross Baker, and he then shifted to Australia. So I thought, oh well, that's that. And the very first time it was finished, and we actually went away in this, we put all the caravan was on permanent site up there, so we had enough gear. We could wedge the rest of the stuff into here, and we inevitably went through to Rotorua for the day, and we were walking along the road there in Rotorua in the shopping area, and the guy ran out of the shop and headed off across the road, and I said to him, oh, it's my very good wife, that looked like Ross Baker. He had his back to us, and I thought, oh, I may as well make a fool of myself, and I yelled out, Ross! And it was Ross Baker, and he couldn't believe that. He asked me, he said, how's the build going? Because he was very concerned about the fact of whether I would ever finish it. And I had the great loving presence of being able to turn around and say to him, well, it's parked just around the corner, Ross. Ross couldn't believe the fact that I'd finished it. And but no, Ross was delighted, and I made arrangements to call and see him. And the next day, late that afternoon, I think it was, when he said, you've got to come around. He lived around the far side of the lake. And I went around there, took him out for a drive in it. He did not want to drive it, but he was very, very impressed with how it had come out. It's a car that I don't think I'll ever part with, and as a touring car to travel around in, it's extremely comfortable. At the current moment, it is not mobile. I have had supercharger problems with it, and doing this talk and sharing what we've done with it has been a wonderful experience. And the supercharger, that's been a wee bit of a pain, because I paid quite good money to get it in the first place. It took somebody stupid to start it, but it took a hell of a lot of determination to finish it. And I'm very proud of it, and what it's meant to so many other people to see the joy of putting a vehicle together, and it's yours. Now, some of them I've driven, some of them I have made that I wouldn't be proud to exactly say that I put it together, I drove it, but they weren't pretty. But the car club allows you to build whatever can be legally put onto the road. And as far as I'm concerned, that's something that we must hang on to, so that we've got the right to be able to build these types of vehicles if we want to. And all I can say is good luck to all of you, and I hope like hell you have as much fun as I've had out of it. Thank you.